Do you guys remember OG beauty YouTube? I'm talking when the girls were wearing whitening lightning lip gloss, when they were putting in their Bellamy hair extensions, when they were using Ben Nye banana powder, and when they had YouTube names like Lil Pumpkin Pie 05. Do you guys remember? Well, I definitely do, and I've been feeling so nostalgic for OG beauty YouTube. So today I thought, let's do a get ready with me using some of the OG It Girl beauty products. I still have some of these in my collection and some I don't, but we are going to chat about those. So let's jump into it. But before that, hi there, my name is Twana, but you can call me TJ, and welcome to my channel. Alrighty, let's jump right in. I am already moisturized and everything. Don't mind me looking like a little ninja. My edges are just setting right now. First up is primer. So I don't have this primer, but I remember when the girls were talking about Milk of Magnesia. They were looking very casket ready, putting on their primer. I also remember the Benefit Professional being really popular as well. But if I'm remembering correctly, I think the Professional had a bit of a tint. So I don't know if the black YouTube girls were using it. But in any case, I used the Hourglass Mineral Veil primer. Okay, I am next going in with my foundation. Now, when I think OG beauty YouTube, there are a couple like eras of foundation, but when I think complexion products, I am going with MAC. MAC was that girl. And remember the time when all of the black girls were either a NC45 or a NW45? So I'm going in with the Studio Fix Fluid in an NC50 as my shade. And you know, we can't apply any products without our girl, the Beauty Blender. She had her moment on YouTube. Mine is actually not wet right now, so I'm gonna wet that and be right back. Alrighty, we are back. Our Beauty Blender is back. I am also going to just grab some baby wipes here so things don't get messy, but let us go in with our Studio Fix and apply that. I remember the girlies always talking about, okay, make sure you were bouncing it into the skin. What a time, what a time. And I think what is making me so nostalgic is that during this time, we were all on YouTube looking how to learn how to do our makeup. And there were always so many fun tips. And it felt like people were really just enjoying doing their makeup. Like it felt like it was a community. It felt like it was a lot of fun. And I think some of that feeling has been lost in the more recent days of beauty. So I have really just been feeling bringing back the fun in makeup. And so that was the inspiration for this video. Okay, we are looking pretty good with our foundation. That was about one pump that I did, and this is how we are looking. I think I'm actually gonna go in with maybe a half pump more. And I have just been pumping this like the girls did on the back of my hand and just blending that into the skin. I'm trying to think about other OG beauty foundations. And I know we went through a couple of eras. Like, remember the Kat Von D Locket? The one that made your face look like an absolute mask? That was the full, super full coverage. People are using it to cover up tattoos. Estee Lauder Double Wear also had her time. She was really good. I actually still have that foundation. Not the one from 10 years ago, but I still have it. And then we had the era of Too Faced with the Too Faced Peach Perfect. I really did like that foundation as well. Okay, so we have our pump and a half, and I think we're looking pretty good. Okay, this one was kind of iconic for Black Girl Beauty YouTube, but the MAC Prep and Prime in Peach Luster as a color corrector, the one that you have to kind of like twist up. So I actually just have a brand new one, so you can see it's the product's kind of coming out at the tip. So using this to just color correct some of the dark spots just around the mouth. I remember in Black Girl Beauty YouTube in particular, Miss Peach Luster was that girl. Just gonna go back in with our beauty blender and blend her out. Blend, blend, blend. I don't think color correcting was super duper popular in the broader beauty space, but I do specifically remember MAC Prep and Prime Peach Luster. I'm just gonna pop a little bit on the eyes as well. Okay, next up, we're gonna go in with concealer. And the concealer that I have is the NARS Radiant Creamy Concealer. Now, I remember when this came out, this was a huge, very popular concealer. They also had one in the pot. OG Beauty YouTube was also the time of the super bright under eye. I won't be doing that because I don't like my makeup looking that way. I prefer my under eyes to be a little bit more natural. If you are curious, I'm in the shade Amande. I remember the girls were packing it on, the super duper bright, and you have to apply in the shape of a triangle under your eyes. I remember that being a thing. So I'm just gonna let that sit for a little bit. And when you're applying your foundation, you know you have to have the concealer lips going on. Don't worry, we will fix that later. Okay, I'm going to blend out the concealer using the same beauty blender. And I remember the beauty blender being so popular that at one time they actually came out with the mini beauty blenders, like the tiny, tiny ones that were specifically for under your eyes. And then the beauty blenders came in a bunch of different colors. I think the pink was the original one. But I always hate the way like dirty makeup sponges like this. I'm going to immediately wash this as soon as we're done here. But I found the pink one, especially with my complexion of foundation, got dirty pretty quickly. So I never got that one. So I just stuck to the black. Okay, so there's our concealer blended out. And again, this is not iconic OG YouTube because my eyes would be, you know, 5 shades lighter, but we do what we do. Next step is setting with under eye powder. Now, there are 2 that stand out to me. First, the Ben Nye Banana Powder. The Ben Nye Banana Powder, the girls were going crazy for that. But the second one, which is the one that I have, is the Sacha Buttercup Powder. I remember this was all the rage online, and it is a loose powder. And in the OG Beauty YouTube era, I'm just going to grab my powder puff here. This was the era where we all started learning how to bake. So remember, baking is the technique where you take some powder on your sponge and you pack it on under your eye, and you had to let it sit for a little bit and you dusted off the excess. The girls were baking! And you were looking like this for a little bit. But when I tell you this technique changed the amount of creasing under your eyes. So you take your puff, you dip it in your powder, you put it under your eye, you wait for a bit and you sweep it off. And that was our under eye. And the funny thing about these under eyes, the Ben Nye Banana and the Sacha Buttercup, is that they're all pretty yellow. So Lord save you if there was a camera with flash in sight, because the flashback would be crazy. But you know what? That ain't no problem, because I think the flashback is worth it for not having minimal flashback. Now, the brush I am going to use to sweep off my under eye, because brushes also had their time on OG Beauty YouTube. The brush that comes to my mind immediately, OG Beauty YouTube, is the Sigma Flat Top Kabuki. I never had that brush, but I remember just all the girls talking about the Sigma brushes and specifically the Flat Top Kabuki. Now, because I was, you know, young and funds weren't flowing at that time, I remember I was buying Real Techniques brushes, and where I got my brush sets from BH Cosmetics. I bought a bunch of BH Cosmetics brushes, and because they always came in the really big set, and I remember they were doing collaborations. So I actually have the brush set collaboration with It's My Ray Ray and her brushes. Let me see if I have one here. I do. I remember they came in this little pink handle, but the BH Cosmetics brushes were really good and really affordable. I mean, I've had these brushes for 8-10 years now and they're still going strong. But yes. Okay, so we got our powder brushed away. Next up, we're gonna go in with brows. There is only one brow in OG YouTube. Only one brow. Anastasia Beverly Hills Dipbrow Pomade. You can't be surprised about this. You know what it is. Mine is fresh and new, and I have the shade Chocolate. Now, don't judge me. This is a safe space. Brows are never my forte. I'm gonna try a little something, something. I remember I used to just give a little dip in and outline your brows to get that crisp look. I know a lot of people kind of make fun of the 2016 brows, but I actually don't mind them. Because remember, OG Beauty YouTube, the girls were not afraid of makeup. It wasn't anything about, you know, clean girl or no makeup. The girls and the guys and the theys were about bold looks, about color, about I have my makeup and you're gonna know I have my makeup on and my makeup is going to look good. And I think that's something that I miss in our current beauty YouTube. Many of the looks are very beautiful, but they are very muted compared to the bold colors that we've had. Okay, the brows are not completely done, but you can see we're getting a little thicker. We've got little outlines going, and I am just dipping with my ABH Dipbrow Pomade. I know that she also had the powder, which the girls were also using the powder, and she also had a pencil as well for the brows. But what a time, what a time. Okay, so I am as happy as I'm gonna be with these brows. Again, brows are not my forte, but I like it, and that's all that matters. Alrighty, we are now gonna go in with bronzer. Now, OG Beauty YouTube, this time, there weren't really bronzers for people that were lighter than a medium. I remember Benefit Hoola being a really popular bronzer, but I do remember a lot of the YouTube girls I used to watch at that time were just using a darker powder for their bronzer, so that's what I'm going to use today. I'm using the Makeup Forever multi-use powder foundation in the color 185. But the revolution where makeup brands started diversifying their color ranges, this was before we had Fenty, before we saw like extended makeup lines with multiple shades in the deeper range. I remember there was a lot of advocacy, and the video that's coming to mind is when Jackie Aina and Alyssa Ashley did that review for the Tarte Shape Tape when it first came out, and all the shade names for the concealer were like light, medium beige sand, warm tan sand. So it wasn't until later that we started having more attention to darker skin tones. So the bronzer that comes to my mind at this juncture in time was the Benefit Holo bronzer, and that definitely did not work for me. I know they did come out with a darker color later, but I never tried that. Okay, bronzer is on. Next up is blush. Now, we had a couple of notable blushes that are coming to my mind. Of course, Becca, when Becca blew up with their blushes. But from the drugstore, the Milani baked powder brushes had their moment. So that's what I'm going to use today. And this is in the color Dolce Pink. And I remember having to hunt far and wide to find this because Milani for a while was not readily available in Canada. I remember going to different Walmarts trying to find it. And when we did find it, like this drugstore blush was like $20. But I do like this blush. It gives such a nice sort of sheer wash of color, but you can build it up, which is what I'm doing. And again, the Dolce Pink is like this very sort of muted on me, cutesy pink. That's what I would call it, a cutesy pink. And she does have some radiance to her, which I love a glowing look. And of course, using my BH Cosmetics brush to put her on. I know a trend more recently is around liquid blushes, but again, that didn't come until later. So the blushes that came to mind from the drugstore, of course, the Milani baked powder brushes. Outside of the drugstore blushes, I know MAC had some really nice blushes. I am a MAC girly, so I do have a few. But the Milani baked powder blushes were definitely an OG. Okay, going in with highlight. Now, when ColourPop came out, these super shock cheeks were all over YouTube. And this is actually the original one that I still have. And it is this fun, like sort of bouncy texture. I remember these being so popular. I'm not going to use this because there was another highlighter that really stands out to me, particularly for black girls, and that is MAC Gold Deposit. If you were a black girl in OG YouTube times, you knew about MAC Gold Deposit. She is a beautiful, deep, bronzy color. And I'm just tapping a little bit on my cheeks. And because, once again, at this time, there weren't many options of complexion products that were not foundation, that weren't for darker skin tones. And so things like highlighters were often too light for darker complexions. And so we all had MAC Gold Deposit. Not sure if you're seeing it. Oh, there's the glisten. There is the glisten. There is the glisten. And OG YouTube girls, the highlight was popping. And you know what? I need to commit, because the girls were not only putting highlight on their cheeks, they were doing the tip of their nose as well. So let me pay homage to the girls. Alrighty, what is next? Let's do eyes next. I loved OG eyeshadow. There were so many. And you guys, I'm not talking OG like Morphe. I'm talking way before Morphe. I'm talking when the girls had their Z palettes and their individual Makeup Geek eyeshadows. That's what I'm talking about. This is my Z palette. And listen, I don't want to hear anything about makeup expires or this is so old. The makeup expires when I say it expires. If it doesn't look weird, if it doesn't smell weird, if it's got no weird growth, it's perfectly fine. So Z palettes were all the rage. This is when you were getting your individual MAC shadows, your individual makeup shadow Makeup Geek eyeshadows and putting them in your Z palettes and kind of making your own color stories. So I am going to use my Z palette with my individual Makeup Geek shadows for our look today. And now, before we put on eyeshadow, you need to prime your eyes. The girlies were all about their primer. The girls were using the MAC paint pot in Painterly. I remember her. I don't have that. The girls were also using the Urban Decay primer potion. I also don't have that, so we're gonna carry on and keep it pushing. I'm going in with this kind of light brown here. And again, these are all Makeup Geek. I do know that Marlena, the founder of Makeup Geek, sort of rejuvenated the brand. I'm not sure that it's called Makeup Geek anymore, but I did see something about her rejuvenating the brand. So that would be something interesting for me to check out. Just layering this light brown over the eyes here. Perfect. Then we're going in with this sort of darker brown, this one here. And my favorite thing the girlies like to say, going in windshield wiper motions. Blend, blend, blend. Those are the terminologies that I am keeping, that I was keeping in my mind in the OG beauty guru days. Just putting that all over, windshield wiper motions. We're gonna go in this burgundy-ish color here and layer that on top. And yes, I am using the same brush. My eyeshadows, my eyes. And again, the girls were using lots of color at this time. And I really like that. We were not afraid of color. We were not afraid of bolder eyeshadow looks. And I really loved that. Okay, I absolutely loved the Makeup Geek foiled shadows. I have a couple here. I'm going to go in with this kind of bronzy one here to put in the center of the lid. Yeah. This is what we're doing. We are popping. We are popping. Ooh, look at this. So many years later and these shadows are still performing excellently. Alrighty. Okay, I am pretty happy with how the look is coming out so far. I'm just gonna do a little more blending. Alrighty. For mascara, we're gonna go in mascara next. The mascara the girls were crazy about from non-drugstore, for sure. Too Faced better than Sex. Too Faced better than Sex. Everywhere. Too Faced better than Sex. Outside of the drugstore, Maybelline Lash Sensational. I don't have either of those, so I'm going with my personal favorite mascara. I love all of the ones from Essence, so I'm popping those. I'm gonna put that on. At this point in time, the girls were also really good at putting on their Ardell Demi Wispy lashes. Now, to this day, at my big age, I don't know how to put on lashes. So we are just gonna go old school with our mascara. Just putting on a little zhuzh. Okay, we're not going for perfection. We're going for a little enhancement. Okay, and now for lips to finish off the look, I really liked, and I was introduced to this through Beauty YouTube, the MAC Prep and Prime Lip. That is just a little bit of a layer of moisture. Comes in a little tube like this. And when I think lips and OG Beauty YouTube, again, MAC. The MAC lip liners, the MAC lipsticks. I remember MAC lipsticks being $19. They are certainly not $19 now. I am lining my lips with the lip pencil from MAC in the shade Currant. Because when I think OG Beauty YouTube, I'm thinking bold lips. Again, remember the girls were wearing Candy Yum Yum, MAC Candy Yum Yum out in public? And they were rocking it with no liner? I loved that. So I'm gonna go in with a bold lip too. in honor of our OG YouTube girls. So I'm gonna go in with my MAC lipstick in the shade Diva. A diva is a female version of a hustler. Yes, this is very much giving OG Beauty YouTube. And of course, to finish off the look, none other than our Urban Decay All-Nighter Spray. Woo! Wasn't complete until you felt like you bathed in it. Now I'm going to take off my edges, see what we got working here, and of course, blend out the foundation line. Jesus Christ! This really be exposing you and you not wearing the proper shade of foundation, but don't worry. Nobody gonna be looking at up close anyway. Okay, we are looking a little bit better. Okay, all right, you guys, this is the final look. This is my look of my Get Ready With Me using our OG Beauty products. This was such a fun video to make. If you guys remember any OG YouTube beauty products, please put them in the comments below. And if you've been enjoying my content so far, please like this video and subscribe to my channel for more. Other than that, thanks so much for watching, and I'll see you in the next one. Bye!